Om Asatu Ma Sadgamaya Tamasu Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurmam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge, and from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. Dear friends, the title of today's topic is heard by all. It is the famous Arabian Nights story about a robber and his big gang of 40 thieves. And they had a place where they were hiding all their wealth, and it was a huge amount, a huge collection of jewelry and all so forth. And it was in a remote place, and nobody would generally get there, and even if they get there, they wouldn't know how to open that place and get in where all the stolen goods are stored. So, because there was a password, that is probably the idea that is central in it. Password. We all use passwords. So unless you utter the password, you will not be able to get in. And so open sesame was the password. And when somebody else heard the password, that was a classic case of password getting stolen. The ID is getting stolen. Nowadays it is a big problem. All such ID thefts are happening. So this was probably one of the first ID thefts that happened. Yes, the password got leaked out. Somebody heard the password. And thus the wealth started getting removed from there. So I don't want to get much into the story. The idea is this, that there are very many ways that we cover things, or the things get covered. Instead of we covering, let us say the truth getting covered, the things getting covered. And the covering has many aspects. It is when you want to keep something safe, then there are many ways of protecting it. And the most important or the safest lock that you can put on something is information lock. You can of course have a big solid iron door that cannot be broken easily, at least, and then inside that you may keep things feeling pretty secure, that okay, now I have a place. But who knows, it is once people know, just by looking at that big steel door, that there is something important there. So that is in fact an invitation that yes, break it. So things cannot be really kept very safe for a long time if people know where they are. And therefore the information lock is the best locks, and that has various different layers. Sometimes you have for the door locks, number locks, that if you only know the number, then you will be able to get there. I have a suitcase with that kind of number lock. So, and it was with somebody else, and that lady with whom it was, she was at her wit's end that how to open it. What number it is, she tried different combinations, it was not opening at all. Then she gave me a message that, can you help out? You gave me the bag, but I am not able to open it. I am not able to use it. And the lock that I had used it was that it was not locked at all. It was open, but she saw the lock and thought that the lock has to be opened before the bag could be used, and she spent lot of energy in trying different combinations to open it, but since it was not locked at all, there was really nothing was going to work. Only one thing that was going to work was just unzip it, and the bag was just open. So that is a kind of lock which is apparently hides the things. And that is sometimes, the process of covering. In various ways, you cover the things so that others will not be able to get it. And one of the important ways that people do it is keep it open. Because when it is secret, people try to look at the hidden secret places. There is a detective story that somebody wanted a secret document, and this is in the one of the Sherlock Holmes those books. So I don't remember exactly the story, but a document was kept secret, and the person knew that somebody else will be after it. And that person who is going to be after it is very intelligent, very capable, very resourceful, would be able to break through all the different locks. So ultimately that person couldn't find, and then asked, well, what was that? Where did you keep it? And he said, well, it was right in the front, there on the desk, it was lying all the time. I knew that you will not look right in the front, so you will look everywhere, and so I had kept it there. So one way of this covering is to camouflage it. In this very story, you see Ali Baba and 40 thieves, where this password Sesame open comes. There is when the robbers, one of them went to find out who really is stealing it. Let me look for that person. And then found by chance, that house where the person was getting in and the wealth was going in. So he was alone there, so he didn't want to confront the residents. So he put a mark, a cross on the door there. After a while, because now the house has been marked, so with that joy that now today night we will come with all our gang and then ransack the house, kill the people and all that. But before that, a servant in that house, she is kind of the biggest heroine in the story, Margina, very intelligent. So she finds out that there is a mark on the door. And what can be done now? So what she did was, she made exactly similar marks on all the doors around. Now the thieves were told, go to the house where that mark is. Now they wouldn't be able to go. Which house to be gone to? All these houses have the same marks. So that was of no use. It is like telling, that that man, I have spotted out that person, you have to, and the identification is that he has one nose. So now everybody has one nose, it is no identification at all. So that is how the truth can be camouflaged. Second thing is, another way, there are different layers and different tools are provided, different ways of encryption, that information can be encrypted, and thus one doesn't get to the bottom of it. There are layers of security, and there are different tools, because somebody can know how one tool can be broken through. So therefore there are different tools employed to protect it. So another way that is to mislead, not just camouflage but mislead. That it is employed to that it appears that yes, where that is, because the appearance indicates that. I saw one very nice fort, and it was very strategically built to counter the attacking enemy forces. How it was done was, the fort of course was made very formidable, but an important thing that they did was, just on the roads from which the enemies would come, first they would see another fort. It was not really, nothing was there, it was just looking like the similar fort. It didn't have any army or any, it was not really a fort at all, just in appearance it looked like that, and so the enemy army would go first and attack that. So this fort would remain safe. So misleading. And then another way that is, the misleading is sometimes confounded, that the person is under the impression that I have actually found it. I know it. I don't need to look any further. This is it. But actually that person has not found the right password, and so the information remains safe. There is no way that person, because he is very sure that I have found it. I have found the truth, convinced. And when you do that, then there is no further probing, because I have found it. It is like one person, he was being sought after, and then he saw somebody coming, and very cleverly and with great skill pretended that he is dead. He put a false arrow somewhere and splattered some blood around, and then fell on the ground, just to give this impression that he is dead. So this news was circulated. Well, we don't have to be worried about him anymore. The man is dead. Was not dead. So this is giving a completely wrong impression in a very convincing manner. So that is how the truth gets hidden from us. Although we keep on looking for it, some do not look. Those who look for it also do not find it. That is also happening in our search for the divine. We all keep on looking for God. Where do I find God? And the problem is this, that God is there, but we need to know the password. We need to know how to get at it. Without that, it is not possible, even though we would be probably right in front of it. This is the reason that although there is nothing but God, we keep on looking for God, because the truth is kind of encrypted. It is covered, and therefore, although right here, right in front of us all, we are not able to see it as God. We are seeing God, but not as God, and therefore we are looking for God everywhere, and we do not find it. This is essentially the issue that Vedanta highlights, that God is there, right in us, out of us, everywhere there is God. There is nothing but God, and yet we do not find God. So, a verse in Kathopanishad mentions this. This verse tells that this self, as you know, in Vedanta, God, because God is inside all of us as our true self, so God is called this self. And where is this self? It is said this self is hidden. This self is hidden. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudha. The words are wonderful. That self is hidden. Where? In each and every particle, in each and every being, that self is hidden. Sarveshu bhuteshu gudha. Na prakashate, but is not seen. It doesn't appear to us, we cannot see it. Why it is not being seen? Can anybody see it? The next line of this verse says, you can see it with a penetrative vision. You have to sharpen your vision, then you will be able to see it. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibi. One has to sharpen the vision to get at that. And what is the meaning of sharpening this vision? On this verse, Shankaracharya in his commentary says that sharpening it means practicing the spiritual disciplines as told by your teacher. Keep on sharpening it. And when it is sharp, then it can pierce this veil, and then you will be able to see the truth. It is a constant practice to sharpen. Then it will be able to penetrate. Till then you will not be able to see it. So this sharpening really opens up this secret. Otherwise, the secret is right in front of us. Like you are sitting in a movie theater and you are seeing the different pictures. Are we seeing the screen or not? Actually, we are seeing nothing but screen. But not as screen. We are seeing this man, this woman, this house, this field, these cars, there's so much of action going on, battle going on. All this is being seen. Are we seeing the screen or not? We are seeing the screen and yet probably do not know the screen. So it is like that. This everywhere here, the God is hidden. In everything God alone is. God is manifesting as this universe, but is covered by what is called ignorance. So it is therefore the information lock, as I was telling, the best lock. It is under the information lock that we do not know it, that's all. The knowledge has to come about. Not only that, it has the misleading aspect. We think that, well, God must be somewhere in some cave hidden somewhere in Himalayas, so you can go there and find out and then you will find God. Misleading. As I was telling, one way of covering is mislead, where it is, so that people will get the idea that it is there, let me try to go there. And then other thing, many have the idea, well, we have found it. Convinced in completely wrong place that yes, I have found it. It is where it is not, yet people get convinced that they have found the answer, they have found the God. That conviction comes because they feel that whatever they thought about the secret of the world and all, they have almost got it. They have found it. They know now how these spacecrafts can fly. They know now that how different genetically modified varieties of food can be manufactured. We almost can create life. So we know now all the secrets. So now we have found out the secret of God. In fact, there is no need for further search. Those were the ancient days when religion and all such things mattered, because the science was not developed. Now science has given all the necessary answers, and thus we do not need a God, extra God anymore. Science is God. Excellent idea. And so we remain just there. And we discover soon that very few of our questions really have been answered. And those answers are again tentative. Therefore, we need to search. But when, because of this conceited conviction that, I have found, I don't need to look any further. The best example is, the medical science, where people sometimes speak with such authority that this is the reason because of which this is happening. This is this particular disease. One lady of our acquaintance here, she went to a doctor for some problem, and she was very convincingly told that this is this problem, I can see it, I don't need to inquire any further. That was the verdict given, that this is this problem, do this and this thing, and then you will be all right. And she was not getting all right. The bottom line was that she was not getting all right. And then when she again went to that doctor, this doctor said, oh, probably it is not this, it is something else. It is this is not what I had told earlier, was not that, it is something different. So, but the same person without any trace of doubt said, this is this. So, that is the problem, that we are so convinced that what is God after all? Let us live the life seeking happiness. What more do we need? Let us seek happiness in this world, and happiness means getting more wealth, getting all that I need, some just to make it taste better, and to soothe the conscience, let me do some social work also. So that is all that we need to do, and that will take care of all the problems. This is God. In a few thousand years ago, there was a philosophy in India. It is hard to call it philosophy because there wasn't much of a logic or such thing, just plain statements based on the sensory experience. That you see, what you are going to do, the aim of life is spend it in sense pleasures. As long as you are going to live, death is coming one day, but don't worry about it. Live your life, accumulating more and more pleasures, and it says therefore, Rinam kritva ghritam pibet. If you don't have money, borrow, take it on credit. Don't worry about repaying. Why? Because once you are dead, who is going to again come and claim what you had borrowed? So don't worry about it. Just go deep into sense pursuits. But even if this advice has been given, and it sounds very sweet, those ears which are not very experienced in the trickeries of this world, they feel that, wow, this is what I should do. And so they get cheated over and over again. And this philosophy therefore was called sweet word philosophy, charvak. Sounds very sweet. Yeah, this all religion and everything, they said, sarve vedasya kartaraha dhurta bhanda nishacharaha. All those writers of the scriptures, they were cheats, clever people, and demons. Don't listen to them. So that was the ideas given. And yeah, so if you are established in that is the truth. And what happens is, once you hold and announce that this is the truth, then the ego takes over. Even after some time you realize that it is not truth, you hesitate to admit it. Stubbornly, because it is your opinion, you stick to it even though the evidence goes against it. Even though your own understanding is now telling that probably you are making a mistake, you brush aside that out of ego, and then that person holds on to it because it is my opinion. It is what I think, and I had announced it publicly. Now, if I have to put my foot in mouth, that will be very insulting. So, the person holds on to it. So, this is how we do not see this truth. Although the scriptures say that you have to keep on sharpening your understanding, and you will find it. It is once you become purer and purer, your clouded understanding will give way to a clear sight, and then you will be able to see the truth. But for that you have to really do the practice. Religion has these two aspects. One is understanding, and another is practice or training or implementation. One has to get practically trained in that. Only understanding and acknowledging it as true doesn't become very helpful. Just as reading a book on swimming does not make us immediately a good swimmer. You need to practice, you need to actually do it. So this actually doing, training one's personality to get to this experience, is also equally important, much more important. So, it is emphasized by all the scriptures of all different religions, therefore lay much stress on this, that you have to practice one way of that is, say, practice devotion, practice meditation, contemplation, by which your mind will become sharp and you can see the truth. Here what comes to my mind is a beautiful discussion in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, Lord Krishna, Bhagavad Gita is told by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, and Arjuna, the student, is now being told in the 13th chapter that there are two things that we know, or people have to know. One is all the objects, and then the other thing is the subject, the knower, the known and the knower. And the known has been described very well, that whatever the combination of all these different elements, whatever you can see, touch, smell, all that is the world of experience, the object. That is to be known. It has been described in details that this is the known. Then comes the knowledge of the knower, how to know the knower, and the language changes immediately. It should have been told, this is the knower, this is the known. But the known has been described fairly well, in details and very clearly. But now comes the description of the knower. Now it is hidden. It is encrypted. It is not possible to see it unless you become qualified to it. There are many layers of encryption, many different tools by which this encryption has worked. So you have to now learn all these things. It is, because of the theft of the passwords, especially when you are dealing with financial institutions like banks, if you have layers of security there. It is not only your password. If you are using the password from some other computer, I had that some time back, that I wanted to pay some bills, but I didn't have my regular computer with me. So I tried to log in from another computer, put the password, and got the message that we need some more information from you to verify that you are the rightful user of this account. That is very good. They have developed these different tools out of experience. So you have to then answer some of the questions there, and also sometimes even then they will allow you only a limited access. So it is because of the different tools, different layers are for keeping it safe. It should not go in the hands of somebody who is not authorized. So now Lord is giving that this knowledge of the knower. In Upanishads also you see this question being asked, that how can one know the knower? Because once you try to know it, it becomes known, does not remain knower anymore. That is how the thing has been covered. That you say that, okay, I know it, then you don't know it. It is by the very fact that you say that I know it, that means it has become an object. It has become known, and therefore it is not the knower. Do you get this point? So that is why the question becomes more and more intriguing. How to know this knower? Is there a way or is there no way? If there is absolutely no way, let us not bother about it. But we will not be able to stop bothering about it, because I need to know it. That will keep on pinching us like a stone or a thorn in the shoe. You may say that I will disregard it, but can you? No, it will keep on pinching you. So this question will keep on coming back to us again and again. Who am I? And what is the true nature of I? And so one needs to really understand, how can one know the knower? And the answer, therefore, since the knowledge is of a completely different type here, the tools also are different. One can tell that, okay, how can I learn this rocket science? Okay, well, there are many books, and then you have to go to the schools of science and engineering, spend a lot of time there, study it thoroughly. It's not easy. So it is. That is why it is called rocket science. So it is. Some time back, a few years back, I asked, well, how do I use this? Put the screw there. Well, it is simple. Just put the screw. It is not a rocket science. Yeah, it is not a rocket science. But rocket science is difficult. But you can still tell that what you can do for it. When it comes to how can I know myself, even knowing rocket science does not take you any further here. The whole methodology is completely different. One may be very brilliant. It doesn't work. And therefore, the first thing that the scriptures tell about it is that remember how you will not be able to know it. Then we will tell you how you can know it. And again I quote from Kathopanishad that how you will not be able to know it. It says, na pravachanena labhyah nayam atma pravachanena labhyah. Not by a lot of discourses and lectures and all. No, you will not be able to know it. Na bahuna shrutena. Even if you read lot of Vedic scriptures, shrutis, or you hear lot of good teachings, will you be able to know that? No guarantee, no. Na bahuna shrutena. Then how does one know? It is at other Upanishads it is so told, even if you keep on doing and just to sometimes to bring home the truth, they exaggerate it. Even for 1,000 years, if you spend your life doing various kinds of worships, sacrifices, different rituals, and yet there is no guarantee that you will know it. Then how do we know it? Now Lord Krishna is explaining that to Arjuna, that and I will read only the translation for the we don't have too much time. So the verses in original are great Sanskrit verses, but it says that, and these are verses in 7 to about 13, I think. Yeah, it is up to 12, verse 12. So 7 to 12, these verses pertain to these things, this information, that how one can realize the nature of the knower, how can one know the knower? And it says that humility. For knowing an object, you don't need to practice humility. If you want to, say, learn rocket science, is it told to you, practice humility? No, it is not told to you. Humility, unostentatiousness, harmlessness, forbearance, uprightness, service to the Guru, purity, steadfastness, self-control, dispassion for sense objects, and absence of egotism, seeing misery and evil in birth, death, old age, and sickness, non-attachment, developing non-attachment and non-identification with son, wife, home, etc. Always being even-minded whether good or evil befalls. Unswerving devotion to me through the yoga of non-separation, resorting to solitude and aversion for company, always being devotional to spiritual knowledge, perception of the aim of the knowledge of truth, all this is called knowledge. What is different from this is ignorance. Now, this is a big passage, and each word of this is really very important. I will just take a few which are a little more difficult to get, like unswerving devotion to me through the yoga of non-separation. This is to be developed. A devotion, but not devotion as an object, but God, my true self. Developing the devotion that God, who is really not separate from me, God who is my true nature. It is similar, like the wave being devoted to ocean. Just imagine an analogy that if wave has to practice devotion to ocean, that kind of devotion, that ocean is the true nature of the wave. Wave rises and falls. And the devotion to ocean as my true nature, that is to be practiced. And so this type of devotion is told here. Then resorting to solitude, that is also to be understood in the proper sense. That doesn't mean going somewhere in a cave or sitting in a jungle or just out of disgust go and shut the door of your room and sit there making a very grumpy face. No, that is not what is meaning of solitude. Solitude is actually not the company of worldly people that one seeks or company of sense enjoyments. That is to be avoided, and seek the holy company. That is what is meant by solitude. Company of the soul. That God alone is the one. And so company of God. Seek that company. That is what is mentioned. And then also mentioned that devotion to spiritual knowledge and keeping this aim of realizing the truth all the time. This is to be cultivated. All these things are not something that you can learn just by reading the books. That is why all this remains kind of encrypted. All the scriptures are there before us. We read them. Millions and millions of people have read, say, Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or the Bible or the Quran, but does it mean that they have got the truth? Many have read Tripitaka, the Buddha's message. Many have read the others like Taoist scriptures and all. Great, wonderful that one reads it. But even though we read it, it is all encrypted. We do not get the truth there. Why? We don't have the password. This is the password. What Lord is telling actually is a password. But even hearing this password, we don't get it because we do not actually pay attention to the inner meaning there. That it is the matter of practice. It is not that, what has been like answering a question in a school exam. That on Bhagavad Gita, if there is an exam conducted in some, say, middle school and asked this question, that what are the means of the knowledge of the knower, and you write them all, you memorize the Bhagavad Gita and write all these things, and then you may get, of course you will get a very good score there. Yes, everything has been answered correctly. But does it mean that you got it? It is the practice. Practice all these important disciplines in life. These are the disciplines to be assiduously practiced for a long time. How long do we need to practice these? Again, we should not have this idea that there is a 3-year or 4-year course for it. How long does it take after high school to get a bachelor's degree? You may say, well, it is a 4-year course at Brown University, or so you can get that in 4 years, if you study, of course. It is. But is there a course for this? How long does it require? Well, as long as it takes. It doesn't, you cannot tell how long. One of our volunteers, sometimes when are you going to get here? And then she replies, I will get there when I get there. Is that the answer? When you get there, then I already see you, you don't have to tell me. Can you give me? I say, no, I don't know. There is so much of traffic jam and there is so much of things and this is to be, I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know. I get there when I get there. So it is a tautology. Okay, yeah, I get there when I get there. So it is, how long does it take to get this, all these virtues acquired? Well, when you acquire it, that's all. There is, practice it. Keep on practicing. Don't ask when, how long. No. This is because, why I am telling this is because there is always a question that people keep on asking. That, for last 2-3 years I have been reading this, struggling this and tried certain things, but not getting it. How long is it going to take? Well, continue, see, it is maybe tomorrow, and maybe it is tomorrow. Many say that, Swami, I don't think I will be able to see God in this life. I don't think I will be able to know it in this life. A common statement that is made. I don't think I will be able to see God in this lifetime. How do you know that? How do you know that even? Is there a particular reason that you think that you will not be able to see it in this life? And if you have some reason that you will not see it in this life, what is the guarantee that in next life you will not have that problem? Or how many lives afterwards that problem is going to go away? There is no such thing there, that it will be 10 years, 15 years or one day. It can be this moment. Right while one is here, one can see God. Because that is the truth. That is the reality, friends. Well, right now you can see it. Just know the password, that it is, that's it. The moment that is known, everything is, it is not a question of time then at all. Right here and now. Vedanta doesn't tell you a post-mortem heaven, that after you die, if you have done some good works, then you ascend to some heaven. Here and now. Know the truth and that's it. It is, this is the way, and you will know the password, and then you see it right in front of you. Don't calculate the time. No, I have done so many bad things in my life. I am so many 40, 50, 60, 70 years, or whatever it may be, so many years old, and I have wasted all my life for such a long time without practicing any spiritual disciplines. Now I think it is going to take a long time. I remember Sri Ramakrishna's answer to these things. He said that suppose a room is in dark for a long time, for say 1,000 years, the room is in dark. But if you light a lamp or strike a match, does it take another 1,000 years for the darkness to go away? It is instantaneous. Right then you see the illumination. So friends, this is how we have to get to this password. Once that password is there, the meaning of the scriptures become clear. In Shvetashvatar Upanishad, and with that that is such an inspiring statement there, that I will close this discourse with that. It says exactly this password idea. It comes at the end of the Upanishad. There are 6 chapters. It is almost at the end of the 6th chapter that this great verse comes. Lot of philosophical discussions have gone through in that. And then the Upanishad says that the one who has great devotion to God and equally intense devotion to Guru, for that person alone, these verses open their secret. Otherwise, the verses will become just verses, just words, just a closed cave, no password, and so all the treasure will be still hidden. And we will be reading, we will be memorizing the verses, we can give a big discourse on it. And yet, it will be as hidden for us as like we have never read it. So, this is the way to get to that password, that practice of acquisition of all these virtues. And as we go forward, we will see that actually our life is getting the light of truth already. This is a progressive thing, that yes, you start seeing it. So, let us hope and pray that we get this password. We strive to get this password, and we will get it, and we will say, "Open Sesame," and the God will stand before us. The greatest treasure will come right in front of us. Thank you, friends.